Welcome to the tutorial for silence. In this tutorial I will demonstrate and analyze 4 strategies for this track that will help you improve your best time. The strategies that I will demonstrate are meant to be of use to players of all skill levels. I will start with the first basic strategy that will allow any player to beat the step ghost. The more difficult strategies will allow even the best players to improve their times. Each strategy is given a difficulty rating to let you know what you're getting yourself into. Each strategy is also given a goal time to work towards before moving on to the next one. This tutorial assumes an understanding of the game's driving mechanics and moves as covered in the driving mechanics and moves tutorial on my channel, so be sure to check that one out first. Okay, let's get started and have fun!
It's a new record!
The first strategy on silence has a heavy emphasis on efficient driving. Keep driving in straight lines and only very minimally adjust your ship's driving line to catch all the dash plates. The first dash plate is in the center and the next ones are in the locations left, center, right, center. The second to last dash plate is all the way on the left. After the only dash plate that's on the right side, that's the dash plate you want to skip, because you can maintain your boost even with skipping it. As you see, just catch the very edge of the dash plates and only very minimally adjust your ship in a straight line towards the next dash plate. Now comes the dash plate on the right side. There's one on the left side that you can see, but that's the one we skip. After the last dash plate, move all the way to the right rail in a straight line. And when you're close to the rail, align yourself parallel to it and keep driving in a straight line for the rest of the lap. If you align yourself well at this point, you can just keep driving in a straight line with only holding down the A button. That's the most ideal situation. As you come up to the refiller up ahead, you want to adjust your driving line very gently to the right to keep close to the rail on the right side without crashing into it. As you exit the refiller, you want to very gently move to the center of the track, so take a good driving line and very gently drift all the way up to the center. You can align yourself with the black line in the middle of the starting grid, and as soon as lap 2 starts, keep on boosting. Keep on boosting all the way in lap 2. Just mash that B button to boost in immediate succession, while catching all the dash plates too. At the end of the dash plate section there's a special case, because we have enough energy to manually boost instead, and the Twinarida has an A class boost and the dash plates only give you a C class boost. After this next dash plate we can skip one and boost manually instead, while keeping to the center of the track, so to minimize steering even more. Boost manually, So it's more like a half manual boost because the dash plates always take over when you hit them. Similarly to lap 1, align yourself to the right rail, keep on boosting, but be sure to hold up on the control stick. If you do not hold up, you will lift off the track without the possibility of recovery right before the tunnel and in the refiller as well. Keep boosting, hold up on this point. This is the point where you would lift off. You can move a little bit to the center of the track to catch a little bit of air for that, just a little bit of extra speed. It's not really necessary, but it will save a few hundredths of a second, maybe a tenth. Lap 3 is pretty much the same as lap 2. You will have enough energy to just keep on boosting all the way. But you do not have enough energy to skip that dash plate again. So in this case, you do want to catch the dash plate on the right side. That's coming up next. Center, right, center. After that last dash plate, like the previous laps, slowly move to the right side in a straight line, align yourself parallel to the rail and keep boosting. Also make sure to hold up on the control stick again to prevent the ship from lifting off. Now keep on boosting up to the refiller up ahead. And when you're in the refiller, halfway through the refiller there's a slight bump. You will notice that when the ship might lift off if you do not hold up. You can move to the center of the track like this and you catch just a few kilometers per hour more with that little bit of airtime that you get anyway. Keep on boosting and finish the race. If you did it well, you will beat that staff ghost. The best times you can really get with steering as minimally as possible, catching all those dash plates and mashing that B button for immediately succeeding boosts. Good luck! The second strategy on silence is almost identical to the first one, except for a double tap dive you can do at the end of the refiller. As soon as you exit the refiller on the all the way right side close to the rail, you can do a double tap R. To do this, at this exact moment, you hold up plus left on the control stick to point the nose of the ship diagonally down to the left, and mash the R button as fast as you can. Move the control stick to straight up position as soon as the nose of the ship is in the correct place. You will do a small double tap dive and you can land at over 1700 km per hour, which will give you a tremendous speed boost into lap 3. Even if you are late, with pointing the nose of the ship down, you will most likely not fall off the track. So it's pretty easy to practice this one and just mash the R button from that point the control stick to the up position and see if you can get a good dive. If you do it really perfectly, you can get over 1700 km per hour. Considering the rest of the strategy is pretty much identical to the first strategy, this will give you an easy time win with the same skill set. One really tricky part is coming up here. You have to be close to the right rail and hold fully up on the control stick, but if you go too fast, you might still fall off the track. In this case you have to slightly move to the left with your steering, just like this, to prevent that. If you get a slower dive, this will not be an issue. You can do the exact same dive at the end of lap 3 of course, so if you do it well, you can really win over a second from the first strategy and get a really good time on silence. That's it for this strategy, so good luck on this one, and if you do it well you can even get in the 102s. The dive can be pretty difficult to do optimally, so I think the goal time is pretty fair with 103.6.
It's a new record!
Strategy 3 on silence is a drifting strategy. It's pretty funny because silence does not have any corners, but drifting is still faster. Start off with a hard left rail drift and aim for high in the 1300 km per hour. This can be really hard because you have to get the angle immediately right, so practice that one. You can do another left rail drift after this dash plate and straighten out just before for this one coming up with a right side attack. You want to hit the dash plate high in the 1100 km per hour range, even up to 1190 km per hour or so. If you do that, your opener lap will be fantastic. But your opener lap is really dependent on those first two rail drifts, so practice those well. In the next part of lap 1, it is identical to the previous strategies. Align yourself with the right rail, stay on the right side and keep driving in a straight line up to the refiller. In the refiller we can do another right rail drift, but time it well, because we want to fill up our energy as much as possible. You can fill it up almost completely if you time it right. So first you enter the refiller and then you start the drifting motion to the right rail. Try to get a good angle as soon as you can and keep drifting until you exit the refiller. Your energy will fill up completely, so as soon as you exit the refiller, counter steer and you will still be in the rail for a little bit of time, so it's okay if you lose just a tiny bit of energy. Keep driving a straight line up to lap 2 and as soon as lap 2 starts, start boosting. This is pretty much the same as the previous strategy, all the way up to the refiller in lap 2. Keep on boosting, keep straight lines, minimize your steering. That is what you should be keeping attention to at all times on silence. We do not have enough energy to skip any dash plates, so do take them all, except for that second to last dash plate on the left side of the track. The refiller coming up at the end of the lap is interesting because we can do a true diagonal dive from the refiller. To do this dive well, you have to get a perfect rail drifting angle on the right side. If your angle is off, chances are you will actually fall off the track when you try the dive. There is also an easy version of the dive if you're just trying out this strategy, that is just extend the rail drift and do not hold anything on the control stick. Your ship will do a diagonal dive, but you will not get as much speed from it than if you would hold down. It's also tricky because you have to keep holding up on the control stick while you do the rail drift all the way up until the end of the refiller, because halfway through the refiller you can also lift off the track over this little bump here, and that's something you do not want. Hold down and boost. If you do it well, you'll land right before the rail, you hit the rail, that's unavoidable. And if you do it really well, you can go up to 1700 km per hour into lap 3. Again, the easy version of this is just rail drifting, and at the end of the refiller, let the control stick sit in its neutral position and the game will do the work for you, as long as you keep boosting. Boosting is absolutely essential for our diagonal dive to work. Alright, that's it pretty much for this strategy. Lap 3 is pretty much identical to lap 2. Catch those dash plays, align yourself with the right rail, keep on boosting in immediate succession, keep a straight line, and in the refiller, set up a good drifting angle on the right rail, and if you have the good drifting angle, at the end of the refiller hold down and boost. That's it, that's all that's really required to land a true diagonal dive on this track. Immediately counter steer after landing, of course. You will hit the rail, so counter steer left and preferably even hold up on the control stick, because you can lift off again after landing right before the starting grid, and that's not something you want to happen. It is also good to tap the accelerator like I do in the video to regain your grip quickly after landing. This is definitely a tricky strategy to learn, and especially those rail drifts at the beginning of lap 1 are absolutely critical to make this strategy work. The true diagonal dives are more the icing on the cake. You can do the simple form first and do the hard form when you get better at setting up those drifting angles on the right rail. Good luck on this strategy.
It's a new record!
We can pick this one up in the refiller on lap 1. The previous section is identical to the previous strategy. We can do an extra rail drift at the beginning of lap 2 because we have a little bit more energy to spare in the boost laps. We will not be doing rail drifts in the boost laps in the refiller zone, so we have a little bit of extra boost to spare here to accelerate quickly into lap 2. You can rail drift for the first section of track, and when the light green texture starts, begin to counter steer to end the drift. Keep on boosting up to the dash plate up ahead and keep a careful eye on your energy meter. Ideally it should be in between the N and E of the word energy on your energy meter when you hit this dash plate. The energy will be stable for a while because we can boost with the dash plates. Just catch all the dash plates as usual in other strategies. Line yourself up with the right rail parallel to it and keep on boosting. Right before entering the tunnel, you want to start a racing line gradually to the left, because we want to enter the left refill strip of the refiller on this strategy. If you time it well, your energy will run out just before entering the refiller. This is fine because then the boost timing will perfectly coincide with the double tap dive that we're going to do. Boost once more when you enter the refiller, and the double tap dive will start right at the moment when we exit the refiller. Right at this moment, double tap R and steer hard right. Only hold right on the control stick. From this point, move the control stick straight down to float upwards. Float upwards very briefly, and from this moment, hold the control stick down left while double tapping Z and gradually move the control stick to the up left position to tilt the nose of the ship down. Now the double tap dive R will start when you mash the R button and hold the control stick in the up or slightly up left position to tilt the nose down. You will land at over 2000 km per hour. As far as lap 3 is concerned, mainly do the same strategy as you do on the others, boost laps, keep on boosting and catch the dash plates in the usual pattern. You're going at a very high speed in this case, so the section that's coming up after the dash plates is very risky because you can lift off the track, even when holding straight up on the control stick to prevent that. When you come up to the stripy track texture, there will be two structures overhanging the track. At the second one you can lift off, so move to the left like this. You do this by holding up and just slightly up left on the control stick to very gradually move to the left. Keep on boosting all the way, and now there's another double tap dive coming up in the refiller up ahead. From this moment hold the control stick 2/3 of the way straight up. Now this is the moment that you will lift off the track, even when holding the control stick 2/3 of the way up. Move the control stick quickly to up left and double tap dive down, mashing the R button. If you hold the control stick up 2/3 of the way, you will not lift off far enough so that you will fall off the track. If you don't hold it up enough, you will always fall off the track, and if you hold it up all the way, you will not lift off. So this is really tricky to get down right, but if you practice, you can do it. Good luck and have fun!